Have you ever studied something carefully, felt like you understood it, and then forgotten almost everything the next day? Or sat in a meeting, nodded along confidently, only to struggle recalling key details later? The real frustration is not that you are incapable, it's that your effort feels wasted. Memory is not about talent, it is about method. When you understand how your brain actually stores and retrieves information, everything changes. In this video, I will share 10 practical strategies that will help you remember longer, recall faster, and finally feel in control of your learning and performance. Tip 1. Active recall. Passive reading feels productive because it is easy, but it creates a dangerous illusion of mastery. Your brain remembers what it struggles to retrieve, not what it casually rereads. Active recall forces you to close the book, look away from the screen, and ask yourself what you just learned without any hints. That small moment of discomfort is exactly where memory is strengthened because retrieval strengthens neural pathways. If you cannot explain the concept out loud or write it down from memory, you do not truly know it yet. Many people waste hours rereading notes and highlighting pages, only to forget everything during exams or presentations. Replace passive review with self-testing, flashcards, or writing summaries from memory. The more you practice recalling information without support, the stronger and more durable your memory becomes. Tip 2. Spaced repetition. Cramming might help you survive tomorrow's test, but it destroys long-term retention. Your brain needs spacing between study sessions to signal that information is important enough to keep. When you review material right before you are about to forget it, you interrupt the forgetting curve and strengthen memory consolidation. Instead of studying a topic for 3 hours in one night, review it for shorter sessions across several days or weeks. This method may feel slower, but it saves you from relearning everything again and again. Spaced repetition works because it forces the brain to rebuild the memory multiple times, making it more stable each time. If you constantly feel like you are starting from zero every week, it is not because you are bad at learning, it is because you are not spacing your review strategically. Tip 3. Teach what you learn. If you cannot teach it simply, you do not understand it deeply. Teaching forces your brain to organize information clearly instead of storing it in messy fragments. When you explain a concept to someone else, or even to an imaginary audience, you identify gaps in your understanding immediately. That slight embarrassment when you cannot explain something clearly is a powerful signal for improvement. Many professionals struggle in meetings not because they lack intelligence, but because they never practiced articulating what they know. Turn your learning into short explanations, record yourself speaking, or pretend you are teaching a beginner. This process transforms passive knowledge into structured understanding, which dramatically improves long-term memory and confidence. Tip 4. Focus on deep work, not multitasking. Your brain cannot truly multitask. It can only switch rapidly between tasks, and every switch weakens memory formation. When you study while checking notifications, replying to messages, or listening to distracting content, your attention becomes fragmented, and fragmented attention produces fragmented memory. You may spend hours studying, yet retain very little because your brain never entered a deep encoding state. Deep work means eliminating distractions completely for a defined period of time and giving your full cognitive energy to one task. When attention is focused, the brain creates stronger neural connections, making information easier to retrieve later. Many people blame their memory when the real problem is their environment. If you constantly feel like you are working hard but remembering nothing, the issue may not be your intelligence but your lack of uninterrupted focus. Protect your attention like it is your most valuable asset, because in learning and work, it truly is. Tip 5. Connect new information to old knowledge. Information stored in isolation is easily forgotten, but information connected to existing knowledge becomes anchored in your memory. Your brain works like a network, not a storage box. When you deliberately link new concepts to something you already understand, you create multiple retrieval paths. Instead of memorizing facts mechanically, ask yourself how this idea relates to your past experiences, previous lessons, or real-life applications. The more associations you build, the easier recall becomes. Many learners struggle because they treat every topic as separate and disconnected, forcing their brain to start from zero each time. When you build connections, learning becomes cumulative rather than exhausting. If you want to stop forgetting what you studied last month, stop memorizing in isolation and start building bridges between ideas. Memory strengthens when meaning is attached. Tip 6. Sleep to consolidate memory. You cannot outwork sleep deprivation. Memory consolidation happens during sleep, especially deep and REM stages, when the brain reorganizes and stabilizes what you learned during the day. If you cut sleep to gain extra study hours, you may be sabotaging the very process that turns short-term memory into long-term storage. Many people feel frustrated because they studied late into the night but forgot everything the next morning. The problem was not effort but biology. Sleep is not laziness, it is neurological maintenance. When you consistently sleep enough, recall becomes faster and clearer. If you are serious about remembering more, treat sleep as part of your study strategy, not as something optional after everything else is done. Tip 7. Write by hand. Writing by hand forces your brain to process information more deeply than typing. When you write manually, you cannot copy everything word for word, so you must summarize and interpret, which strengthens encoding. The slower speed of handwriting becomes an advantage because it increases cognitive engagement. Many students type pages of notes without truly thinking about what they are writing, creating the illusion of productivity. Handwriting encourages selective attention and deeper comprehension, which improves recall later. If you often feel like your notes are useless when revising, consider switching to handwritten summaries for key concepts. Depth, not speed, determines memory quality. Tip 8. Use visualization. The brain remembers images more easily than abstract text. When you transform information into mental pictures, diagrams, or mind maps, you activate additional neural pathways. Visualization creates emotional and sensory associations, making recall faster and more vivid. If you struggle to remember dry material, convert it into a story, a chart, or a symbolic image in your mind. The more senses involved, the stronger the memory trace. Many people rely only on reading words, limiting the brain's natural strength for imagery. Make learning visual, and memory becomes more natural and less forced. Tip 9. Review mistakes. Mistakes are powerful memory anchors if you analyze them correctly. When you review errors instead of avoiding them, you strengthen understanding and prevent repetition. Many people ignore wrong answers because they feel uncomfortable, but that discomfort signals growth. Reflecting on why you were wrong forces deeper processing than reviewing correct answers. If you want stronger recall under pressure, train your brain through correction, not perfection. Tip 10. Apply immediately. Information that is applied becomes experience, and experience is rarely forgotten. When you use what you learn in real tasks, conversations, or projects, you transform theory into lived memory. Many people consume endless knowledge without applying it, leading to overload and rapid forgetting. Action reinforces memory because it links knowledge to emotion and consequence. If you want to remember more, stop being only a consumer of information and become a practitioner. If you constantly feel frustrated because you study hard but forget quickly, understand this: the problem is rarely your intelligence. It is your method. Memory is trainable, predictable, and deeply connected to how you engage with information. When you shift from passive consumption to active retrieval, from cramming to spacing, from distraction to deep focus, everything changes. You stop feeling helpless and start feeling in control. The goal is not to remember everything forever, but to build a system where forgetting becomes slower and recalling becomes easier. Your brain is capable of far more than you think, but only if you train it intentionally. Start applying even 2 or 3 of these strategies today, and you will notice the difference sooner than you expect.